I'm Amy Holthouse, President of the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, and your host for Chamber Chat. Thank you for joining us today. Our guests are the Bowman family from Bowman Superior Genetics, and so I welcome you all to the set today. Thank you for taking time. I know you're very busy. We appreciate you being here. Introducing Philip Bowman and your wife Linda. Thank you for being here, and your son Luke, and then your daughter Lindsay Bowman Sankey. I had that backwards. So we're so thrilled that you could be here to share your story and tell us more about what's happening out in Western Wayne. Sure. So I know it's a big family production out there. We had our farm tour out there and celebrated with you in that evening, but if you could share a little more with our viewers about how Bowman Superior Genetics came to be and how you all work together. And
thank you very much for the invitation. We're happy to be here and make the community aware of what goes on in Greens Fork, Wayne County, Indiana, that a lot of people are not aware of. Bowman Superior Genetics is a beef cattle operation that started out as a small dream, and I'll let Lindsay expand on that shortly, but it started out as a small project, and with the enthusiasm and help of my son, we've turned that into Superior Genetics. And so we're going to share some of that story with you today.
It's fascinating. I just know little bits and pieces, so I'm anxious to hear it again so I can grasp some more for myself as well.
Sure. Well, I think the passion and the background of Bowman Superior Genetics started back in the 1960s. And I'll be honest that agriculture education and FFA plays a big role in where our family is today operating Bowman Superior Genetics, because it was in the 1960s that Dad got to go to the Chicago stockyards with his FFA advisor and a few other classmates. And it was there that he learned about quality beef production and the big beef breeds back at that time, which were shorthorn cattle, Angus cattle, and also Herefords. And Dad went home and learned a lot about that in his own time. And then as his FFA years progressed, he had the opportunity to gain a shorthorn heifer from a local farmer. And in repayment for that heifer, Dad was to return the first-born heifer calf off of that cow, what would become a cow. Well, the project maybe didn't turn out so well because the heifer that Dad chose ended up going through several fences and got to be more of an unruly heifer than I think Dad and his father and his mother and siblings had planned. And so it ended up that unfortunately before that heifer turned into a cow and had her first baby calf, Dad had to return that heifer to the local farmer. So it was kind of an FFA project that didn't turn out, and we've all had that disappointment in our life. But from that point, Dad said if he's ever in a position to spend some money, he was going to buy a shorthorn cow, and he was going to build a fence, and he was going to do it right.
That's
and
wonderful.
So
I think it's fascinating, too, that you were turned on and excited about farming in Chicago.
Yeah, that's that used to be.
That's not a typical story from where I.
That's where the stockyards used to be in this region. Yeah, it was huge.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And unfortunately now those stockyards aren't there. There's a memorial site of where they used to be, but they no longer stand. But yeah, and back.
So what kind of fence did you build the second time around?
Well,
that's my question.
Well, I think the key thing was that when I was young, we didn't have the facilities we have today.
Sure.
But more important is, when I got that heifer, it was about a 650, 700-pound calf that really hadn't been around anybody. And so when you try to contain it and take away from its contemporary group, it just was a bit unruly. And so
how big they are.
Yeah.
That's a big animal.
Yes. So, but she was still a calf, and she had never had a halter on her head, so it was a very without the facility, it was very taxing on her and I.
Yeah, I would imagine. Quite a learning process.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So when they're born in your place and you help them from day one, they know you. It's a different animal, a different temperament, and the whole works. So
you begin to build that relationship from the time that animal physically hits the ground. You know, that's when animal husbandry starts for us now, taking care of that calf. But unfortunately for Dad, back at that time, he bought it later in its calfhood. So. Yeah.
So when you got around, and I didn't mean to interrupt your story, to getting that second chance, what did that look like at that point? Where were you in your education? And
well,
the family?
At that point, I was a married man to this lady over here, and you know, she came from a dairy farm, so she was fond of the animals as well. And she knew I wanted shorthorn cattle at some point, so the time came when we could buy some ground and bought 3 cows from a local farmer, 3 shorthorn cows, and that was the beginning of what's turned into be quite a project.
I would say
yeah.
quite the project,
Yeah.
quite the project.
Yeah.
I love the way that the farm has grown, and you've kept it in the family, and you're all connected and doing your different roles. And
It certainly is a family affair. I mean, even when we don't feel the best, Linda goes with me to the farm nearly every morning and helps me feed and water and take care of the morning chores before I go to work. And then I think many times she stays out there or goes back out later, depending on the weather. If it's really, really cold, we can't leave the tanks of water totally full because they'll freeze. So she'll go back through the day and fill tanks and let them drink a bit, you know. And it's a project, but it's kind of a way of life for us.
And what's special about shorthorn cattle? Why is that the direction you went? Is that good for this region, or that was just your first love, or what was it that kept you in that area?
Well, shorthorn cattle used to be the most dominant cattle in the U.S. I mean, they were the cattle that everybody had. They're very docile animals. They've actually been used in the place of an oxen, as an oxen for work. They're a high marbling animal for high quality meat. They have high quality carcass, and so it's been something that I've taken interest in the beginning and stayed with it, and happy that I have. Yeah.
Sounds like it's been very positive. It was a good choice in the long run.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
And they're also very maternal. So of course, maternal, it means the same thing to us, that they take very good care of their calves, and they also have great milk production. So,
do you do any milking, or are you just about beef production out?
no, we have beef shorthorn cattle. So there are milking shorthorns, which is a very small percentage of what a shorthorn might be considered, but there are milking shorthorns, and that has nothing to do with the cattle that we produce.
Okay.
Ours are mainly or completely for beef production. When I say they produce milk, that is only for their calves.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Interesting enough, when Linda's father was a young man, he milking shorthorn. Yeah, so I mean, it was a
Really?
dominant
Wow.
breed years ago, and so it's making a resurgence today, and we've I don't want to say we've been a pioneer, but we've been steadfast in keeping the name out there, and we've done a lot to, I believe, improve the herd from where it had digressed to where it's coming back from, going back to.
Well, and one thing I know we learned on the farm tour, I mean, it is very high tech at your farm. There is a lot of research and things going on that are helping you just to continue to grow into a better and better farm with a better herd. And it was fascinating to me, all that goes on out there that's technology based.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, the technology and a lot of the genetic selection again comes from Luke and his exposure to college and different things as I basically have stayed on the farm. Luke has gotten out and seen more than I have and has brought those ideas home, which has been very helpful.
Okay. Well, it's a wonderful story, and we're just thrilled to get to know your family and learn more about your farm and everything that you're doing. And I know you all contribute greatly with your heart, your soul, your time, your energy, and it's really been a pleasure and a privilege to learn more about it. I think we'll take a small break, and then we'll come back and hear some more from Luke about specifics of his expertise.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. We're back with the Bowman family, learning more about Bowman Superior Genetics in Greens Fork, Indiana. Thank you for joining us. I have Luke Bowman and Philip Bowman with me again for this segment. We're going to get into some more nitty-gritty details about your expertise and share with us maybe how many cattle head do you have on the farm?
Well, initially, when Mom and Dad decided to get into production agriculture, into the beef business, we started out with just 3 head. That was for 4-H projects for Lindsay and I. And then our older sister, Laura, who's often on the farm as well, she wasn't able to be here today. And it grew, and it started, and we started to use new technologies that we learned at Purdue University and such on artificial insemination to superior animals. We used embryo transplant technology to get a critical mass, a larger base herd of cows, which we're now up to about 125 mature mama cows.
Wow.
So we'll have about 125 baby calves every year. Yeah.
I have trouble with 2 children.
Yeah.
125.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
So-
amazing growth. And over what period of years did that transformation take place? How long did
Basically
that take?
from 1994 with the original 3 until about, I think we hit our high point in probably 2013, and we've stayed right there, yeah.
That is not a very long time, really, to grow that much.
No.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, and there's
Yay,
always
Purdue.
Yeah.
there's always a lot that leave every year. So I mean, that's just what we've
Sure.
maintained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the ones that leave, and then you're able to grow the mass
Right.
on top
well,
of that.
we were able to acquire and then also rent neighboring pasture fields
Okay.
so we could expand. I mean, we didn't just start with one large chunk of ground, or we don't overgraze by any means, but it is a we've been lucky. We can expand because of the opportunities around us.
Sure. Well, you have a fabulous location. I know on the tour, part of the tour, we did some touring on the buses and
Yeah.
drove to see the different sites. And although you're close, you do have quite a bit of land, which is, I'm sure, incredibly helpful.
Yeah,
So
you bet.
that's good. It's neat that you're all out there together. Tell us a little bit more about the meat.
Okay, the beef side of our business is kind of the turnkey and important part. We are seed stock, so we do sell lots of genetics. Dad sells genetics to producers all over the United States and Canada and even Australia and New Zealand. And that's specifically because of the genetics we offer, because they're phenotypically attractive cattle, but more specifically the beef quality. So by using superior animals or superior genetics through artificial insemination and embryo transfer, we're able to develop this critical mass of calves. My brother-in-law Cody, who could not be here today, helps evaluate which animals will go back into reproduction and will be parent seed stock later, and which ones we will send to western Iowa. And we have a large feedlot custom feed those cattle for us, and then they collect all the harvest data after the animals are slaughtered and let us know how our genetics are competing on the national average for beef quality. And we have done tremendously well in having some of the most highly profitable cattle of all breeds in the past 5 or 6 years that we've done that. So it's been very rewarding.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations, number
Thank
one. It's quite an accomplishment to share. And then I think, you know, for your families and for the future of your children and going forward, you have such a great established pathway for, you know, learning to keep the best and share the best, and just quality all the way around is improving because of what you're doing right here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, a lot of our beef, most of our beef goes to Tyson, and they'll pay a premium for that because it'll go into some of their high-end restaurants or chains that they'll use to distribute food to, or high-end product at the grocery stores. But Dad also sells plenty of freezer beef here to the local area to kind of get to know other folks in the community, but also educate the community on what we do, so they can come and select the animal that they want to, experience farm fresh, locally grown beef. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But maybe for those who aren't fortunate enough or don't have the connection yet to purchase straight from your dad, what do we look for when we're buying our beef? What's a good piece of beef look like?
The really important part about beef that a lot of people do the exact opposite of is understand what marbling is. And marbling are the white flecks of fat that are on the inside of the steak, not the fat on the outside.
Okay.
The fat on the outside is what we call intermuscular fat, it's spelled with an ER, intermuscular fat, and that means across, and that's
Okay.
the fat on the outside. That's not a real healthy fat. Marbling is intramuscular fat, spelled with an RA, and that's the flecks of fat on the inside of the steak. They have a different molecular buildup, and actually marbling is a pretty healthy fat. It's got some positives in it.
Okay.
And marbling accounts for the juiciness, tenderness, and really the flavor of a steak. So a lot of people try to avoid marbling. They just want that solid red piece of meat they see in the meat counter. But what makes
That's
it
not the
high
one to buy.
quality is the one that has the flecks of meat or the flecks of fat on the inside. Yeah.
Well, and when we go to these high-end restaurants and we purchase a steak, we don't most of the time you don't see it before they cook it. So
Right,
you don't really know what the best piece of meat looks
Right,
like.
right. Well, if you go to the grocery store, that's where a lot of we see.
Yeah.
Every time I go to one of the local groceries and folks are looking at their meat and they grab that one piece of meat that's really bright red and not much marbling, I tell them now, make sure you don't cook. I have
You can't
I
help
can't help but
yourself,
talk
can
to them
you?
about it. And because really, if it doesn't have much marbling, it's really easy to overcook and burn your steak.
And
So if
get
you
it
think your
dry.
dad is not a good chef because he's always burning steak, it might be the meat he's buying rather than his ability to grill.
That's
Right.
very interesting because that intramuscular fat,
marbling,
does
yep.
it kind of dissolves into the meat as you're
Yeah,
cooking it? Is
it
that,
turns fluid, yep. And now
Okay.
the fat on the outside that everybody's worried about, which is the unhealthier stuff.
Sure.
The that's the different fat, but
Okay.
the marbling, which it looks like flecks of marbling like on a floor, is the good product.
Good. And we have a great example here, some information that you brought that we'll put up for folks to see.
Yeah.
And certainly they can contact us. We'll take a few of those back to the
Sure.
office if they want one, and we
Yeah.
can get people buying the right meat.
You bet. Yeah.
So, anything else special that you want to share with us about it? There's just so much. We could do an hour, I think, and we never have enough time. We're just thrilled to learn more and more about your family and all that you're doing. Is there anything else you want to share with us? Or
I would say that since we've really began to grab a hold of this and go, Luke and I have gone to Canada, I think 3 times, and it seems like every time we go, we bring back a bull. So but it's been a good move because we brought back some of the better bulls in the North America that walk on the farms in Greens Fork, Indiana, and they've paid dividends. And it's also a very enjoyable trip to go up and look at the big country. But we're after genetics when we go to Canada.
Yeah, the commerce, Dad's being very humble that he's getting in terms of interest is globally as well. We send genetics to Western Canada. We've been selling genetics to Australia, New Zealand recently. We've had some inquiry from South Africa, and Brazil. So actually, it's that's my favorite part. Is a lot of folks don't really know where we're at. Not a lot of people travel south of Greens Fork.
Sure.
But he does have quite a global presence.
well, and I think that's phenomenal. We were just at the Economic Forum this morning right here on campus at IU East, and they were talking about, it's not a huge percentage of our total marketplace for the United States, but it's a critical piece that we are global and that we are sharing things aside from retail goods with our global market, and how important that is for our growth, not only as Wayne County, but as a region and as a country. And so it's just incredible to me that you're doing that right out of Greens Fork and doing it well. So
Thank you.
Congratulations, and continue that work. We'll be excited to hear an update.
We plan to. Yeah, we plan to. Yeah.
So good.
So I'd like to take a minute to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, for asking us to sponsor to host the farm tour. It was a lot of work, but it was very gratifying, and very happy to share what we do with the community.
Well, thank you all. Lindsay, of course, is on our agriculture committee at the chamber, and when we started talking about bringing the farm tour back to the chamber, she spoke right up with interest, and I know your family all jumped right in, and we know you did a lot of work in preparation. It was a phenomenal tour. We had upwards of 150 to 175 people out there that evening, and it was just fantastic to see the excitement and the range of participants that came, children through mature adults, and really it's just such an important part of our history and of our county. I think it's fantastic that you were willing to take that time and energy to share with us. So
Thank you.
Glad
So you're welcome, but thank you too.
You bet. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you for being here, and thank you again to Lindsay and to your wife Linda for taking time and coming out, and to the rest of your family for all that you're doing for Wayne County. We're just really proud to have you here as part of what we're doing as a community. So
Yep. Well, we think we're just started.
I think you are
Yeah.
too. It sounds like you have a long way to go. So
Yep. Thank you.
good luck. Join Joining me now are Melissa Vance and Trevor Okerson from the Chamber. Hi, guys.
Hi, thank you
Hello.
for having
Thank you
us.
for joining me. What a great visit with the Bowmans.
They are fabulous.
They are wonderful people. and
Wonderful.
The farm tour was the best we've had in ages and so informative to everyone who attended.
I think it's fantastic. Not only the technology, but the global reach. The things that they're doing on their farm are wonderful.
Absolutely.
Which leads us right into Chamber Annual Dinner. Would you like to share a little bit more about what's going on?
This year is going to be so exciting, as it always is, but talking about global reach, we really, as a committee and also with Kathy Cruz Uribe, who is our incoming board chair, sat down and started thinking about Wayne County and that global reach that we have, and as a result came up with the title to our annual dinner this year, which is Local Talent, Global Reach.
Fantastic. And it's so true. We have so many different ways that we're reaching out across the world with our businesses right here in Wayne County.
We sometimes get, I think, tunnel vision and just see what we see, and we have no idea that element of what's going on right here in Wayne County with, you know, many businesses, Holland Colors, Hills, Belden, you name it, over and over again.
Sure.
Companies working with other countries around the world.
Absolutely. Well, and with Kathy Cruz Uribe coming in as our board chair for 2016, we also have exciting information with who our speaker will be, which I think feeds right into this. Our local talent, homegrown, people who are viewing education in new ways and using their talents in different ways. And so, you know, what better to have as our speaker than
President McRobbie from IU Bloomington will be here, and we're so excited to hear what he has to say and how he can just kind of speak to the crowd and address the issues that are going on and encourage our community.
Yes.
I think it will be wonderful. We have a lot of IU alums in this community, and I think that it'll be great. Tickets will be on sale soonish, and they will probably sell out very quickly.
Absolutely. And alongside that, of course, our executive committee met and poured through the nominations, which, thank you to the community. We once again had a stack of fabulous nominations for all of our awards. Every year, I'm just continually thrilled with the time and energy that people put into that process. To recognize that, you know, not necessarily their own business. They're usually nominating someone else across town or someone that they work alongside. And it's just fantastic to hear the stories that come with the nominations. And often we receive multiple nominations for one place or one person. So the nominating committee from the executive group went through all of those and, of course, has determined who our winners will be. Those winners will individually be contacted soon, and we'll be thrilled to share, of course, with the community who those winners are in January at the dinner.
Right. It's really neat to see, I think, leaders just rising up. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you look around, you see leaders in our community rising up, and it's not because they want that recognition. It's because they care about the community, and I think that makes all the difference in those nominations that are read and submitted and the people that will be recognized.
We were very lucky. It was a very competitive year, so our executive operating committee had a very difficult time making some of those choices.
They truly did.
So we're very excited. I think that they're some of the best winners we've got.
Yes, looking forward to that whole evening. Is there anything else from a design or interest perspective from the committee that you'd like to share looking forwards to the dinner? Or
I think there needs to be some element of surprise, so we won't tell all of our secrets today, but the ACES committee, which is the Awards, Celebrations, and Events Committee of the Chamber, is already working to put together some really neat things. I think as people arrive that evening, there will be that wow moment I hope.
Yeah.
But it's been fun to kind of take a hold of this theme and kind of run with it. The save the date cards will be in the mail by the end of the month, so people should be looking for those, and then invitations will come later in December.
Okay, fantastic. So for those who are watching, the Chamber Annual Dinner will take place on Friday, January 22nd. Watch for the save the date cards and more information to come soon. We'll be looking forward to sharing with you who those winners are for the Annual Dinner Awards. And don't forget, local talent, global reach. Thank you for joining us for Chamber Chat this month, and we appreciate your watching and support for the Wayne County Area Chamber.